We're good.
Well, good morning. I can see people continuing to pop on, but I'd like to get rolling. I want to thank you all for your attendance on this very busy Friday at the end of a school year. And I want to thank you all for your deep commitment, engagement, and learning support of our students and through this progressive instruction. And as we all know, through COVID, we need to continue to leverage these opportunities of instruction and assessment, both to enhance the probability of learning, support deep engagement, and also the retention and success of our students. The Flexlearning process and the PLC engagement was instrumental in BarryU's continued success through the COVID process. And we've learned a lot, and we can't lose that. We can't go backwards. We need to all understand the power of personal and traditional learning. We appreciate that, though we also have learned that through this progressive use of technology, we can leverage learning, engagement, communication, productivity, and success in many different ways connected to, again, our progressive use of technology. And more importantly, we can also enhance learning and access opportunities to our very diverse learning community. And also that will support our enrollment, our overall success at BarryU University, and honor and achieve our mission and core commitments. Today we have a short, though very important meeting to say thank you, to celebrate success, to share the voices of critical stakeholders, our leaders, and our FlexPerts and PLC members. In just a moment, I'll introduce three important BarryU University leaders who were instrumental in providing direct leadership, access, and support for the Flexlearning process, and continue to, even though the process is formally coming to a conclusion. And after you hear some brief comments from those leaders, our FlexPerts will break into personal video conference rooms with your PLC members to focus and reflect on three critical questions. I have sent them to you a couple times, so they are in your email. They're fresh in your email right now, just to make sure that they're at your fingertips. And those three questions that we want to look at as we look at momentum for the future is, what can we do to sustain and support continued development of our competencies? We've come a long way. We don't want to lose those competencies. We want to continue to leverage them and exponentially grow them. How do we support those who want to continue to collaborate? That's one of the things that we found was very dynamic within this whole process, was just coming together as a collaborative group and being servant leaders, to be heroic leaders, where that heroic leadership sometimes is simply just saying, hey, I've been there, let me tell you how to do it and show you how to get there. And the other one is, what would you like to see BarryU continue to support, to keep in place, so we continue to leverage this process? And so we'll have a few voices shared, and then we'll break into our groups. Three important leadership voices through the Flexlearning process have been our Provost, Dr. John Murray, the Dean of School of Education, Leadership and Human Services, Dr. Jill Farrell, and the Director of Distant Education and Extended Learning, Dr. Larson. And without any further ado, Dr. Murray.
Oh, I'm first.
You are.
Of course.
Well, it doesn't matter, but thank you for letting me go first, and I'm so glad to be here and with you all today. Gosh, what a day. I mean, it feels, I know this is in a way, this is kind of an end to something, but I want to talk a teeny little bit about my thoughts about all of this, and kind of from my chair and where I sit. Let me first say, I want to publicly, do some thank yous. Thanks and acknowledgments of Randy, Nadia, Jill, Brenda Schofstall, Jeff Larson, and so many of you on this call. I mean, I could list you all and then everybody's name would be, but you know who you are. The leadership that has been associated with this effort, the work that people have done to, sometimes it's been constant, and sometimes it's been somebody surges up and serves as leader, then they step back a little bit. It's been this really wonderful, dynamic process of people stepping up to first of all, to deal with our crisis of this pandemic and kind of pull us together of how are we going to be as a faculty with our students during this very unusual period. And then in other ways, for support and collegialship, if that's not even a word, but you know what I mean. Just so much thank you for that. It has been, I know we said this maybe even a year ago, or maybe 6 months ago, that this pandemic, one of the wonderful things that emerged out of it was the lesson of unity that has happened at BarryU. The pulling together, people just kind of dropped what they were doing. I mean, we had to in order to pivot and do what we did with our students. But then as it continued on, the connection that people had in order to help people do their jobs and to teach our students in ways that that aligned with the parameters that we were given. Really, it was just amazing. So much in the way of thanks. This effort, as I just mentioned, really began in the context of the pandemic, right? You may remember as we faced this monumental task of pivoting instruction from in-person to completely remote, then to back out of that a little bit to be flexible, hence the name FlexPerts. This was difficult conceptually, but it was also had concrete pieces to it, practical things that you all helped your colleagues do. Like, how do I use Canvas? How do I deal with people who are in the room and then not in the room? I mean, concrete aspects of teaching, but then beyond that, conceptual ideas of how do we learn and teach in ways that will help people be better, more than just concretely. So over 2 years, thanks to the federal funding that we got, we were able to support this effort in a real and significant way. We were able to compensate people for their time and implement a train-the-trainer model that I think really satisfied our goals in providing support in a substantial way. I really want to make note of a couple of things. One is that we had widespread participation. It just is amazing to me. Back to this unity piece. We have participants from across our university, law school, podiatry, education, of course, playing a very, very critical role. Arts and sciences. Every single school and college we have people who were stepping up and really coming together to solve and think about this problem. Very impressive, just really impressive. And I want to acknowledge the significant and real contribution from our Adrian Dominican School of Education. We looked at you to help kind of focus our efforts as we brought in our disciplinary issues and what disciplines contributed to this. The Adrian Dominican School of Education could say yes, and as educators, here's how this fits into the grand scheme of things. I just was so impressed, and my heart was warmed as a result of that. So what have we learned from all of this? This is my perspective here. I'm very sad we just can't keep this moving as we're currently doing with the same level of resources, but we can't in this way. That doesn't mean that this is over by a long shot. It's convinced me, and I've been pretty vocal about my dream that I'm about to talk about a little more, but it's convinced me even more that we need at Barry a Center for Teaching and Learning at our university.
Yay!
Such a center would support faculty in their immediate teaching needs. More importantly, it would serve as, so there's this immediate need, right? Helping faculty do better, connect with their students, do that concrete. I mean, not everybody comes to these jobs perfectly ready to do it. We need people to support people, and there's amazing folks on campus who can do that. And such a center would be a wonderful way to make that happen. But it could also serve, and this is my dream part about it, could be a think tank and a knowledge generation center for teaching and learning science. There's endless contributions from the teaching of specific disciplines that could be adopted and shared. And we have the people who know how to do this. We have them. You're here. To that point, we are about to, as you know, we're about to embark as a university community on a formal strategic planning process. It's an extension of our strategic enrollment planning process, but as you know, we're preparing for our SACS reaffirmation, so it's a wonderful time for us to be doing as a university a formal strategic planning process. Such a center, I'm just going to put it out there, I think that needs to be part of our plan. That's such a center. I don't know how we're going to fund it. I don't know that yet. But it can be done. I want to do that. I'm going to put it right out there now and say, if any of you are interested in being part of a grant writing team or some sort of an effort to explore how we will provide seed funding for such a center that I'm envisioning, it doesn't have to just be my vision, but this is a perfect university for something like that. Imagine what the contributions to university and college level teaching that we could make at Barry University, given the parameters of our university. I think we could do that with this. So if any of you are interested in this effort, please let me know. And I want to pull together a team. I've thought about this. I've talked a lot about it with Jill. She knows this, but others as well. I just want to put that out there. And finally, if any of you are thinking that your efforts have been in vain because we're kind of coming to an end of the formal funding, please don't think that. We have seen in front of us an amazing effort blossom and flourish, and we're just moving to the next step. We have to sustain this in some way under, I'll put, normal life circumstances, whatever that means. And so we're going to do that. We got to figure it out. We're smart people, and we have a great group of people who are committed. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're moving next to. So I look forward to working with you, continuing to work with you in this. And again, thanks to all the folks who made this happen. I'm inspired and humbled by this work. So thanks. Thanks for letting me speak to you.
Thank you, Dr. Murray. That was a perfect segue. That was wonderful. Yeah, thank you. That was music to our ears. And certainly, yes, you and I have spoken about that, and I've kind of hinted at it or alluded to it in meetings with the Flexlearning core group, Jeff and Randy and Nadia and Brenda and I. But to hear you put it out there publicly, I have to tell you, it just makes my heart swell in my chest, because I agree, this is not an end. This is a beginning. And I want to, segue from a few of the things that you said, to offer some brief remarks so we can get into the nitty gritty of what today is all about. But let me just add the word equity. I think when we talked about a Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning, I had inserted that word equity, and I'd love to see it be a Center for Equity and Excellence in Teaching and Learning. And I think there are a lot of implications for that, and things that even came up over the last 2 years that many of us were aware of in terms of access and equity. And we spoke about those issues a lot. And so I certainly would love to be a part of that grant writing team. And I think many of the people here would be also. The other thing that I wanted to also acknowledge and mention before I go on, to just share some brief remarks about dreaming and vision and big picture, is to just acknowledge, thank you for thanking everyone who you thanked, and thank you for acknowledging everyone here. But I really did not want to, we would be remiss if we didn't really acknowledge the contribution that our colleagues from the College of Nursing and Health Sciences have contributed to this initiative. And I'm looking at my friend Jean, Jeannie as I affectionately call her, and Sathis and Kimberly, and we have to remember that Randy's partner in crime originally was Carolyn, and I think, and I think we all know that in the early months of 2020, when COVID first, just shook our world and our foundation underneath us, some of you right here were already teaching online, and you continued to do that and have to think about, equity and social justice and all those issues with your students. They were already doing it. But we had to hastily put together many other classes to be delivered in a remote fashion. And that's why we did tap into some of you who were already doing this. And God bless you, Graham, in podiatry. You have just been there. Yes, Graham, from the beginning, and you stepped right up to the plate, and some of us went, wow, you can teach an old dog new tricks, can't you? I can say that to Graham. We go way back on our grad council days. But in the first year, because of our FlexPerts, it was all of you that we relied on, who helped all those others who really didn't know how to do this. And that's why we built this model the way we did, because we needed you to mentor them and be their, and be their guides on the sides to help them get up to speed. But, in our second year of this, because of our FlexPert-led PLCs, we were able to plan more fully for what we were going to do institutionally for online and high flex programs because of what you all did in that first year. And like I think about what Sathis is doing with the biomedical sciences program, what some of my faculty, my counseling team, Raul, thank you for what you've done. They completely turned the ship around, got everybody telemental health certified, and now we are bursting at the seams because of what our counseling people are doing. Katja with human resource development, Mike with helping your assistants with the undergraduate adult learner degree completion program. I don't know if Jelaine is here too. She helped in that. But the shift caused by COVID in 2020 really accelerated what we were all doing at colleges and universities. It's going to continue to accelerate the growth of online learning. And we will have to continue to tap into its full potential to maximize that so that we can be poised for the future. And I'm looking at Nadia, who constantly shares with us what's going on in law, education, and what her counterparts are doing around the country. And Nadia, thank you for stepping up to the plate and being that person that's pioneering a lot of things happening at the law school. But most colleges and universities have used this as an impetus, as a catalyst, to get ready to offer more choices in distance learning and to develop new degree programs. And a lot of the big names in this world, across the country, and universities that are really leading the way in this effort are saying, if your university is not looking at more online options or improved technology systems for students, you could potentially fall backwards and be completely lost in the dust. And we cannot let that happen. We were so successful because we're small. This is where small helped us. Being small, being nimble, as Dr. Murray said, the fact that this was a university-wide effort that brought all of us together, faculty, our Do It partners, our distance learning team, in the best interest of our students and our university community, was what was so powerful about that. And we need to be building on this momentum. I'm sure a lot of you, because I know what you're doing in your spare time now, because you have been so motivated by all of this, you're looking at the same things that I'm looking at, trends to watch in online education. So colleges are all looking to offer more new online programs. More colleges are turning to open educational resources for their students, things that are more accessible and cheaper for students. Virtual reality and artificial intelligence is being used in STEM education. I'm sure my medical people are looking at what's happening in STEM education. Students are having the opportunity to take biology and be an avatar and go through a human body. And if we're not doing that and introducing our students to that, they're going to go someplace else where we can get that. Online learning is going to be increasingly data-driven, and that's where, Katja, the data analytics piece comes. Looking at that data that we can tap into by having our students online. Blended learning is here to stay. I know it's hard. I know it was hard for all of you, but we will continue to do that. Yesterday, we had an event in ADSO, an outstanding student recognition. We had about 42 people online. We had 74 people in person. It was incredible. So people do want to come back, but we were still able to connect with students in Jacksonville, in the Bahamas, faculty who couldn't come in because of, still being immunocompromised. We have to continue to do that. And better course design and technological advances is going to help diminish the digital divide for many of our students. Virtual students and expanded programming space has to happen. It's all about certificates, badges, micro-credentials. And in the School of Education, Leadership and Human Development. That's our new school's name. We are coming in with some fully online badges and micro-credentials that we are hearing from people in Miami-Dade schools. We just came out of a meeting with them, and the Bahamas and other places who really want to take advantage of these badges, these micro-credentials. And we have to be able to offer them in distance learning modalities. So, I could go on and on and on, to talk about the trends, but I think you all, know where we're going with this. And as Dr. Murray just said, this is not an end. It might be the end of this formal structure, but it is a beginning. And I want to echo his thanks to all of you who really helped to lead us forward in this initiative, and we are going to tap into you, and we are going to keep reaching out to you to assist as we move forward to build a better Barry, right? To build a better Barry, and to keep us all, moving in the direction that we know we need to move into. So I echo Dr. Murray, thanking all of you for helping us get to where we are, and we're going to keep going. This is not an end; it's a beginning. Dr. Larson, it's your turn.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. And Dr. Farrell, don't remember, we're not going to look back, are we? Because we're just not going to go there, right? It's future looking, it's future driven based on what we know and what we've experienced. And I did want to take a little bit about what Jill said and John said, and that we are not done yet. And I just wanted to let everyone know that because of what we learned over the last 2 years with online instruction and adapting to students and having a community of instructors working together during our challenges over the last 2 years, we are actually putting concepts into physical places right now. And I wanted to let you know, and you probably already know this, but we officially have the first BS Organizational Leadership undergraduate program as a high flex model, directly based on what we've experienced the last 2 years. And we're not just talking about it, we've already started designing courses around the program, and they're on our development calendar, and all those courses will be developed at least by next December. So we're putting these things into place. We've got some terrific modalities now that we've developed because of remote instruction. We're taking what was good with remote, which wasn't a lot, but that virtual piece, that virtual lecture piece was so important. And then we're taking the things that weren't very good with remote and we're modifying them a little bit to conform more to best practices in distance learning. And so as a result, we've got 3 graduate programs that are now being developed as online synchronous programs. And we mentioned Satish, and his is one of them, the BMS program, along with Raul's PhD in counseling and soon to be a master's in counseling. And there's probably other variations of that we're working forward. So these things are happening, and we're excited to we're really experimenting right now in developing these type of courses. So we're moving forward, and I'm really excited to hear what Dr. Murray said about our Teaching and Learning Center, because that will all play into this as we move forward and trying to figure out what the goals are behind, or at least part of the goals behind the Teaching and Learning Center. I also wanted to let you know that we are currently in negotiation now with academic partnerships. We're looking at a new undergraduate program for undergraduate students in Bachelor's of Liberal Studies, and that's currently under discussion, and we haven't finalized anything, but we're excited maybe to be offering another opportunity for distance learning for undergraduate students. So listen, I wanted to make sure all of you had an opportunity to go into your break rooms, but I did want to just say that I want to just thank all of you for all of your hard work and your efforts and your patience as we move forward this over the last 2 years. I know we didn't get it right all the time. I know we made mistakes, but I think we did really well. And I just think having all the faculty kind of united on this front and just being very positive and very patient, we accomplished so much. And it's just been an exciting time in distance learning, despite the fact that it was driven, by a tragic event. But we learned a lot from it. And I just wanted to again wanted to thank all of you for all of your hard work and support during the last couple of years. But we've got some good years ahead of us, and this is really going to be exciting. And so we look forward to working with everyone. So that's all I really wanted to say. Thanks again, everyone.
Well, I want to thank you all for your comments and your leadership. And again, as I sit here, I am inspired and motivated to continue to move forward by your words of both support and encouragement. I know that a long time ago, almost 2 years ago, we were in a meeting, and Dr. Farrell, I said something about flying the plane while building it, and Dr. Farrell said, "Let's say riding the bike." And we've moved to a well-oiled machine. You folks have done a great job in the collaboration process to bring people together. And over, I've heard from your PLC folks that the importance, the heartfelt gratitude that they had just because you brought them together and gave them that insight. And you don't know how powerful that is in an organization and how powerful it is for individuals to motivate them to move forward, to step into the darkness knowing that you were the light. So thank you very much for doing that. For the next few minutes, we have two options. I talked to a few different individuals who have some PLC members who are teaching and engaged in different things. So we have two options. One is we'd like to have you break into your rooms, individual rooms, with your PLCs. If for some folks who don't have their PLC members available, if you could look at our questions, our guiding questions one more time. And again, this is in your email. Through the Flexlearning PLC process, we've had tremendous instructional and technical growth. In light of that, what can we do to sustain and continue development of our competencies? How do we support those who want to continue to collaborate? And what would you like to see Barry continue to support or keep in place? And so two options are, if you have your PLC members available, jump into your rooms. We'd love it if you could hit record and send that link to me. That way we can bring that data to life and continue to provide momentum in the process. If your PLC members are not available, if you could look at those questions, I know you've had deep engagement over the last year or 2 years. If you could provide a summary of those comments that you've received from your PLC members, that would be greatly appreciated. We want to use this data to get better in the continuous improvement process, and it's critical to hear your voices, your personal voice and the voices of your PLC members. So at this time, I'd like to invite you to break into your groups. If you have any questions, I'll stick around for a little bit to answer those. Otherwise, I have been overly redundant in your email box. Sorry for filling your email box over the last few days, but I wanted to make sure there was nobody missed any information. So again, through a very, very heartfelt thank you from everybody. I appreciate your leadership, and I continue to believe that we will provide momentum as we move forward, because that's the type of people that you are. So thank you very much. Break into your groups. We'll stick around, answer any questions if you have them. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.